What's up, everybody? This is a special edition where you just have me. We're missing Ryan Faloona today because he is on his way to Detroit. So I'm super pumped for that. Glad to have him in the Detroit office for the rest of this week. And today, I wanted to show all of you, in addition to if you have any questions on tickers that come up, feel free to throw those in the chat. But we do have the movers tool that I use every day, and I wanted to show you just how to come up with a basic gap and go setup. We're not going to get into all the nitty gritty, but Mitch, if you can share the screen in a larger format, perfect. So what we have here in front of us is the movers tool, and you just open that up on the left side of the screen. About halfway down, you see the arrows pointing left and right there. And you can see that we've got the gainers here at the top. Normally, that'll show you the gainers and losers. But for a gap and go setup, I just switched that to just the gainers. And then I'm looking at the pre-market here. Oh my goodness, I think we have a special guest. Ryan's actually walking into the office right now. So, hello, Ryan. I'm on YouTube right now. Yeah, come say hi to everybody. Here, just say hi.
Hello, everyone. Sorry I missed you today. I'll be back tomorrow, though. Really good time then.
All right. So we're back in business here. And so basically, we're just looking for where are the eyeballs in the market, right? Where are these stocks that are going to be hitting all the other day trading scanners? People are going to be talking about these stocks and likely to continue to go up, or sometimes the bottom does fall out and they crash. But either way, it's definitely tradable. And so we've got pre-market session. We've got the entire session here, which means that it's going to be measuring the percent change since yesterday at 4 o'clock. Now, you'll get the pre-market percent changes as early as 4 a.m. Eastern time, which is why a lot of people like to use this tool. And then if you wanted to filter it down by sector or market cap or price per share, you can do that as well. And if you don't see the exact threshold that you want on the price, like let's say you want something in between $0 and $5, well, then you just click on the custom button over here on the right-hand side, and you can just set your minimum at, say, $2, and you're good to go. So I'll just switch that back to the normal slider for right now. And then once you have all that set, you can just click on the blue bar at the top of the screen, and boom, I have a whole bunch of movers here. Now, if I want to, I could just start clicking through these, and it'll just start bringing up my details tool on the right side of the screen. Or I could click and drag a whole list of these and just make a quick little watch list. So I just copy these, do copy, and then you'll see that I've already gone over to my watch list tool, and I created a watch list called 4-6 movers. And so now I can keep track of these right here. And so as we're talking about a potential gap and go setup, all I did was I just started clicking through these. Let's check out SJ here. And I'm just mapping out the pre-market highs and lows. I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I just find that if it breaks through some of these pre-market highs on volume, many times it continues to run. So I was just looking for, okay, if this breaks through, and granted, hindsight's 2020. So if you're looking in the pre-market, it looks more like this. And I was just thinking, okay, if it breaks through $15 on volume, then maybe it'll continue to run. And so I just drew that horizontal line there using this little drawing tool, just a little horizontal line. I don't know, maybe this consolidation here, maybe that's significant. And that kind of makes me curious. What happened there? Okay, nothing much. But anyways, you can draw out those lines. And then I left a note within my watch list tool. So for any one of these, let's say I wanted to make a note on Cara Therapeutics, I could just double click on that note section and say, I don't know, up 12%. At least that's why you know, I can say that's why it was on my list. But for me personally, I just posted some of these support or resistance levels in the notes section, so I can just compare that directly to the current price. And then I could say, oh, okay, you know, what's going on here? It's 20 cents up from that high that I marked out earlier. And in this case, if I scroll over here, it looks like it ran up to the 1240 range. And I don't still have the drawing on here, but where I put it in the pre-market on a different screen was at that 1170 area. So I just look for 1170 here. And so you can see that it went up above that in the pre-market. I was probably looking at this around 9 a.m. or so, and then it came back down, broke below that, and then pushed back up again. And look at this volume here. I've been seeing that very often recently, where around 10 a.m., 10:30 a.m., that starts to really pick up. I don't know, something with all the day traders where there's like, okay, it consolidated a little bit. Now it's time for us to make this run. So, and just another thing that you can add here on the charts, make sure to differentiate between the overview chart on the details tool. So you just have this very basic chart. You can scroll down and see any news on that company, compared to the chart tab. If you click on the chart tab underneath a price quote here, this is the one from TradingView where you have all the other cool you know, features there with the drawing tools. And you'll see I use a 9 EMA here. So that's just one indicator that you might use, say, as a stop. If you were doing a really quick trade, you just click on indicators here and type in EMA, and that's how I got the moving average exponential. So now I actually have two of them. And so I've got the 9. If I want to change the time frame on one of these, I could just click on this gear symbol here. We've got the style, but then I could go to inputs and I could change to for length I want to. I'm looking at the chat here. Oh, am I really bad? Sorry, everyone, if that's bad. I'm seeing Sean in the chat. Can you please add the ability to see all watch lists in one space by selecting an all option? I love that, Sean. So I assume what you're talking about is basically if I've got all of these different watch lists, just another button either at the top or the bottom where that says all watch lists, and then we'll just have all of your tickers on one watch list frame. I love that, Sean. So I'll definitely bring that up with the product team, and we can take another look at that. I see PLTR all over the chat here. Neo, Nate's bringing up Neo. Let's take a look at these. What's going on here today? Palantir. All right, let's take a look. All right, it looks like it took a dump at the open, but let's take a broader look here. Okay, so it's been up and down and up and down. Take a look at the news here on Palantir. And it looks like, was this yesterday? On Monday, yesterday at 6:59 a.m., they announced this almost $90 million contract with the Nuclear Security Administration. So that's interesting. And so you've got that 6:59 a.m. item, and then 50 seconds later on BZ Wire is where you had this summary that's tagged with contracts. Notice that little contracts tag there. So that's what I always talk about. I love keeping track of those contracts on my news feed. And so it looks like, yeah, there were some additional headlines on that. Then I can flip over to the chart and say, okay, what was that looking like yesterday? It definitely shot up yesterday, and then it looks like it sold off, and people are like, yeah, that was just short-term hype, even though that is real cash. But it looks like it sold off. So we'll see what happens throughout the day today. Levi is asking about ride and workhorse. Let's take a look at that. Let's see, Lordstown Motors. Oh, this is interesting. So looking at the news here, nothing too crazy on the news side, but flipping back over to the chart. And of course, let's see here if the chart wants to load for me. And I'll switch this over to the 5-minute chart. Wow, look at Lordstown today. Holy moly. What's going on the 1 minute? Okay, so I had this nice little bump up, and it's staying above there pretty well here. So that could have been a nice little trade there on Lordstown. Looking at the day chart as well. Okay, so it came down a ton. We'll see what happens if it gets back up there around the 14 level. I would be interested. All right, so hopefully that wasn't too crazy here. Just as a recap, I had the movers tool open, right? And I was just looking for some gainers in the pre-market. Very, very simple. Then I copied those gainers and I pasted them into a watch list. So I've got my watch list tool open here. I just pasted them directly into this search bar, and they populated there. Then I just clicked through these, took a look at the news items, took a look at the charts, and came up with some general support and resistance levels based off of those pre-market highs and lows. And by the way, if you want the pre-market or after-hour sessions to be differentiated on your screen, like I have this blue section here, you just click on the gear cog in the upper right corner. And then you have this little box here called session breaks. So if I get rid of that, it'll get rid of that blue shading. If I check that again, that's what gives me that blue shading. There's a lot more flexibility. Yeah, there's more stuff that I learn every day, right? If you want those watermarks so that it tells you what ticker you have on the screen other than what's at the top, I could just click on watermark here, click OK, and I've got PSAC right there in the middle of my chart. So I know some people like to use that. They're asking me, hey, why don't you have that on your show? In fact, I might want to make that a little, I don't know, I'll leave it the way it is for right now. Let's see, Rita's asking about SJ. Let's take a look again at SJ. What's going on with SJ? Why is it moving so much? Hey, there it goes. See, I had that $15 mark. Wow, man, over the past 15 minutes here. So I was waiting for it to break through that $15 mark, and boom, it shot through there on volume. And that's exactly what I was waiting for. And so what was the cause of this move? We just click over to the news item here, and we can see that at 7 a.m. this morning, they announced a strategic alliance with Snip to launch new loyalty and reward system and explore Bitcoin and NFT rewards for its approximately 250 million users and 300,000 broadcasters. You got Bitcoin, you've got NFT, you've got strategic alliance. Those are a bunch of hot words right there. And then we have a summer article, and this is, again, tagged with contracts. If you do not have the contracts category highlighted on your newsfeed, I don't know what else to tell you. This is a great example of why you want to be following that. And so basically it spiked up, right? Rita, it spiked up in the pre-market, and then it came back down again. And the question in everybody's mind is, was that it? Is it just going to fall back down again like Palantir, or is it going to keep going? And so a lot of people were watching that pre-market high around the $15 mark, also the psychological level of $15. And as soon as it broke through that on volume, we're off to the races. So hopefully this wasn't too unbearable without Ryan with us today. Just wanted to give you a little rundown of how to find some gappers and use those on Benzinga Pro. We'll be back tomorrow with Ryan, and until next time, happy trading.
old mute trick. All right, guys, how we doing? How we doing? Now we're gonna get into some breaking news. We're gonna bring on my man from the news team, the one that I go to the most, Brentster. What's going on, man?
What's up, Mitch?
What's going on? How we doing today? How's the market? Let's go ahead up, and I'll pull up my screen here, and you can go ahead and let us know what's up in the market.
S&P. I watch the S&P 500 futures. I don't know if you watch that index, Mitch, but that's like my favorite one. I love watching the S&P 500 futures. S&P 500 futures today, high was 40.75 and 3/4. That was the all-time high. So how are stocks doing? Stocks have never before done better, I think, is the simple answer to that.
Yeah, I mean, over the 4,000 mark, I'm going to be looking to see where do we go to? Is this we had this kind of moment of consolidation. Let's see where it really kind of goes off to now.
Absolutely, man. Mitch, Spence and I usually, I know for the Newsdesk update, we usually focus on news. But when I have been working with Spence for this show, I wanted to take it in a little bit of a different direction than just like hard news. And I want to try to provide a little bit more education when I come on for my segments. It's always Tuesday at 10:45. For the segment that I'm helping with, I always want to come on and try to provide a little bit more depth of information.
Yeah,
so
what I call the value.
Well, so my thesis is that there's a ton of people that use Benzinga Pro to trade in real time. And that's absolutely amazing that people can just hear a squawk or see a headline and go over to their platform and buy or sell a stock right away. We always want people to be able to do that. However, there's so much value in Benzinga Pro from a research aspect. And I think you really have to, understand, news a little bit better in general to get a lot of the value out of Benzinga Pro. And so that's kind of where I've been going with Spence when I've been doing this segment. And so that's kind of where I want to go with you today, if you don't mind.
Let's do it.
Cool, man. So I want to just sort of with today. So what Spence and I have been doing have been looking into a specific type of news item. Here's a bunch more depth of information on offerings, on IPOs, on contracts. I don't think we've done that one yet. And what I wanted to do with you today is kind of do a little bit more of an overview of the news desk and the information we're providing into the Squawk on Benzinga Pro and also the newsfeed on Benzinga Pro. Where are we getting? I get a question from Benzinga Pro users a lot. Where do you guys get all your information? And so I will give you a few prompts here in Benzinga Pro if you don't mind, Mitch.
Yeah.
So open a newsfeed.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. There you go.
Sweet. Okay, so this is something that a lot of people will recognize. It's just our newsfeed. It's one of the core, tools here on Benzinga Pro. You were just mousing over the sources button there, Mitch. And so that whole top row above the actual content of the newsfeed, these are all ways you can filter the newsfeed, right? You can filter by sources. You can filter by a category, a type of news item. You can filter by a sector. You can filter by a stock that you've already made a watch list for, and you want to get all the alerts on the stocks that you have in your watch list, right? So hit the sources button, Mitch, and Mitch was tuned into the BZ Wire source. That's all of the aggregated, curated content the reporters on the Benzinga Pro news desk and the writers and editors on the Benzinga.com team are producing. So this is our human feed of all the content. There might be 60 to 100 Benzinga.com articles a day that are going into this feed, and there might be 500 to 1,000 headlines that are going into this feed, BZ Wire, each day. And so for the reporters on the news desk, we're getting a ton of information from sources that you can tune into on Benzinga Pro. That's press releases. So turn off your BZ Wire, Mitch, and turn on your press releases.
Boom.
And then just go back to the newsfeed. Let's see what it looks like. So these were the press releases that just hit PR Newswire, Business Wire, Globe Newswire. Those are kind of our top newswire sources in the US and around the world. And this is what, if I had to guess, I would say that between of those 600 to 1,000 headlines for Benzinga Pro that I mentioned, I would, if I had to guess, I would say 60% of the information that we're turning into headlines that are going to BZ Wire, the reporters are getting it from a press release or an SEC filing. And what do you know? You can tune into those feeds on Benzinga Pro if you so choose. If you are overwhelmed by information and you trust the Benzinga Pro news desk reporters to be able to weed out information that isn't going to be material for a stock that could potentially move a stock, then you can just tune into BZ Wire. However, if you're a user who wants, to see the information that the reporters are seeing potentially in the same time that they're seeing it, you can tune into press releases right here and you can actually see the information that we're looking at. Same thing with SEC filings. So go up to your sources, Mitch, and turn off your press releases and turn on your SEC filings. And then let's go back to the news feed and see what it looks like. And so, again, here are SEC filings over the last, this is only about 10 minutes of information here, Mitch, just looking, down to like see what the timestamps are at the bottom of those SEC filings at the bottom there. So again, you can tune into this stuff. You can get, I like to call this the raw information. This is the information that's coming directly from publicly traded companies. But there's like thousands and thousands of press releases every day and like thousands and thousands of SEC filings every day. So it certainly can get overwhelming to be able to parse through that. That's like what the guys and gals on the Benzinga team do really well. We're able to parse through this stuff really quickly and go like, okay, this is something we need to post. This is something we don't need to post. This is another one we don't need to post. Oh, this one we got to post like right now. This is a really big news item. It's probably already moving a stock. What do you think about all this, Mitch? I feel like I just hit you with a ton of information.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, one of the things that I've always said about Benzinga Pro is the usability and how easy it is to get this information. A lot of the times when you're going through this, you're on like multiple sites, you're flipping
Absolutely.
and flipping, and then you're going to the SEC website just to pull the PR. Then you're getting
and
that.
You got to go like search, and the
Yeah.
search isn't super easy to use on the SEC website.
One of the easiest things and one of the best things any trader can do is do their research in the morning, and they want to get to it as quick as possible so they can get to their planning versus
as easy
researching.
as possible too, right?
Yep. And this definitely helps it, because when you're sourcing out and you really want to get to the source that you want to get, the difference between an SEC filing and a press release. A lot of the times, one of the things that I've seen is that when you're looking for filings, you want to know where you're getting this information from. And the best way to do it is to go ahead and source it out.
You're going to get so much more information. And again, getting back to that thing of like, there's so much information in Benzinga Pro, and we want to educate people so they can make, better decisions about the research that they're doing. Those headlines that are going into BZ Wire, they're going to alert you to the fact of something and maybe go into a little bit of context of why this is important. That's to the BZ Wire source in your newsfeed. But if you're an investor and you really want to dig into a news item, we're probably not going to be in a very timely fashion going to be able to get you all of that context that might be in a press release or an SEC filing in just headlines, right? And so that's where I like urge users to go like, let BZ Wire point you to something, let you alert it to the fact of something, and then if you're more interested to get more information, go look at the press release itself, go look at the SEC filing itself, and really like dig through there. And you can do all of that on Benzinga Pro. Believe it or not. And so the kind of punchline I wanted to get to here, Mitch. So go back to you. Thank you for pulling up your newsfeed, sir. So go back to your sources button, and let's turn off RCC and go back to BZ Wire. And then I want you to do something else. Click to the category section. Yeah. And so backing it up a sec here. So a ton of what the Benzinga Pro reporters are doing is aggregating information. It's from press releases, SEC filings, social media, other publications out there. We just had an interesting article on the cruise stocks from the Miami Herald. It's a regional Florida paper from Bloomberg, Reuters, Dow Jones. We're seeing all of these sources and we're clumping them together into this aggregated, curated feed. And that's what we do most of the time. But we also do our own reporting. We have our own exclusive information. You guys have seen, a few of these highlighted in the last few weeks. And this is a focus for 2021. We want to make a lot more exclusive content for our users and our readers. So you have to go to Benzinga to get that information. We want that to be a huge focus. And so you can see it right here. It's already, yep, Mitch knows where we're going with this. So we have a category that's just called exclusives. You can click this in your Benzinga Pro newsfeed to see all of Benzinga's exclusive reporting. We had a lot of this information first, and a source, whether it was a trader, a fund, or a corporation, they will give us information first for exclusively publishing. And so that this information comes out when we have interviews on YouTube shows. We had the Marathon Patent CEO on yesterday. That's obviously exclusive content. We had, a report on an OTC company, Clubhouse Media, that they are hired Andreessen Horowitz as a partner to their advisory board. We got that information. That press release was out this morning to everybody via press release wires. However, we had that information. We had that information on Friday. We had that information a whole weekend ahead of when a lot of the other public had that information. Cool stuff, right, Mitch?
Of course, one of the things that we want to get more of is these exclusives, and I think you're going to start seeing more. So definitely pay attention to it, guys. One of the things that I think is, when you get an exclusive, you're literally getting that source as fast as possible with Benzinga Pro. And there's going to be so many other media sites that are going to grab this, but later on in the day. So if you want to be the fastest, you got to actually be inside Benzinga Pro.
Awesome. Thanks for the collaboration on this, Mitch. This has been fun, man. I know just to highlight a really quick example, if you want to highlight a really quick example, I know a lot of you guys and gals out there in YouTube land saw the HOFV news from a couple weeks ago, but if you want to just pull up real quick in the search field, we can also sort of demonstrate how you can use the news feed to do ticker specific searching. So go over to your search field, type in the ticker HOFV, and scroll down a little bit, Mitch. If you don't mind, keep going. So it was actually go up a little bit. And so it was which news? Okay, so it was from March 23rd, Tuesday, March 23rd. So Hall of Fame Resort and Entertainment reports a partnership with Dolphin Entertainment, that's ticker DLPN, to begin offering non-fungible tokens. You guys probably heard about this one, but after this was reported on Benzinga Pro first, Hall of Fame shares rallied, I think it was like 70% or something like that. So much opportunity, like space, like ceiling for a user on Benzinga Pro to have heard that news item on the Squawk. We said that it was being exclusively reported by Benzinga right here, to see the headline in the news feed and see that the stock was moving and still be able to make a decision. Hey, I think I should buy or sell this stock here if that's what I want to do.
All right. So one last tool before we get you on out of here.
Sure.
One that I use, and I just wanted to give it out to everybody. I use this every single morning, is on the news feed. If you go to the sources, Let me actually do it versus telling you it. So
yeah, let's see it.
So on the sources, what I do is a lot of times I go to categories and I'm not looking for exclusives. I'm scrolling down to what we call the WIIM. And what does this stand for, guys? It stands for why is it moving, guys? And a lot of times I love this feature. This is my favorite feature because a lot of the times you want to know the news quick and kind of to the point. What is it really that is making this stock move? I roll through this all day long. And it helps me find the stocks. Let's say if I was looking like Roku, for instance, right here, guys. So this morning I was thinking about like it was on my watch list. It was something that I was thinking about, maybe a trade. Then I see this news come out, and then I can start doing a little bit more research. You know, it looks like we got an initiated coverage of a stock, an outperform rating, and a 400 price target. So things like that can really get me quickly in understanding, okay, so now we're getting that news out. I already felt good about the stock on the chart. I already felt good on the levels. Now this can give me that conviction to go ahead and complete my trade idea.
It's another, I like to say it's another tool in your tool belt, right?
100%. And you need your tools.
Pull out that WIIM tool, bam, you're like, start hammering away. I like the stocks chart. You said it, Mitch, for sure.
All right, guys. Well,
cool, man. Well, thanks for having me.
And no, I thank you. You know, one of the things is you guys can always reach out to Brentster if you guys haven't done it yet. I do it myself sometimes when I need to make sure on some news. So if you guys want to do it, definitely check it out, guys. We'll see you next time on the Benzinga Pro Review.